Camping World Truck Series Racing on Speed is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. Behind the wall is Colin Brown. He put some oil on the racetrack. They're trying to clean that up. Krista, what's going on with that team?
They are thrashing down here right now, obviously trying to get all the front fenders off the wheels. In fact, the truck is actually getting, I guess, what you'd call a haircut. I mean, they're completely cutting the front fenders off the wheels. But the bigger problem, they crushed in the radiator. They brought the truck behind the wall so they could replace the radiator. And Mike Beam, the crew chief, saying, Colin, I think you wheel hopped it. Colin said, yeah, I did not brake that much deeper than I normally do.
Sometimes under the caution flag, though, you have a situation where the brakes cool off a little bit, and they may grab just a tick more than they would have when they were already up to temperature.
And we're talking hair, you know, just a difference in a hair. How much harder you brake can make that truck do some different things. And I promise you, when he got down to turn one, Skinner stopped a little bit sooner than he thought he was. So he reacted quicker than he meant to, and that's what got him out of whack.
Well, let's answer the question we had earlier talking about Monday races. The question was, how many truck races have been run on Monday? Mike, I'm going to let you throw out a guess.
I'm going to guess, if that duck would be quiet,
1. Oh, 3. Well, counting this time.
This is 3 today.
Well, I meant 2.
Yeah.
Counting this
That's why you said 1, of course.
I meant 1 before this one, so 2, but it really was 2, so I was wrong either way.
It's actually 3, and amazingly enough, they've all been run right at this racetrack.
Every one of them right here at Martinsville, the last time in 2000. So that's the last time 9 years ago that the Truck Series raced after the Cup Series on a given weekend.
And that's another unique situation, obviously, that these drivers are going to have to deal with. Ron Hornaday trying to battle up there for the lead. Krista, what's happening with that team?
Well, just a quick little note. We talked about the contact with Shane Sieg right off the bat. Shane Sieg did miss a shift. That's why Ron Hornaday got into him. But as we see the radiator getting replaced back here behind the wall in the 6, it reminds me that Rick Wren just came on the radio to Ron Hornaday and said, Ron, try not to run into anybody else. The damage could cause overheating.
Like Ron didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm glad Rick Wren told him that, because I'm sure he was thinking he was just going to keep running into people.
Well, and he will. Part of his plan today is to run into more people. I promise you that. Until he's out front, he's going to run into people until he gets there. So he'll take that information and file it somewhere, but I'm not so sure he's going to listen to it.
Well, this weekend, NASCAR moves to Texas, and our coverage begins on Friday with Sprint Cup Series practice on Speed, then Sprint Cup Series qualifying. On Saturday, it's 2 sessions of Sprint Cup Series practice on Speed, and Sunday begins with NASCAR Race Day on Speed, and then it's Sprint Cup Series racing on Fox, followed by NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. Our coverage of NASCAR continues next weekend across the Fox networks.
It's a bit of an odd schedule next week at Texas. The nationwide cars do all their practice and qualifying on Thursday, and then their garage is closed on Friday. It opens up for the Sprint Cup Series, and they do all their practicing and qualifying.
And I'm going to be running down there in Texas in the Aaron's Dream Machine.
That's right.
So I get to learn about all that scheduling you're talking about.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, thanks. Adam, what's going on?
Why don't we talk about Mike Skinner? This guy knows what it's like to be successful here. He's led more laps at this racetrack in a truck than any other driver. 3 times he's gone to victory lane, but a rough start today. He's got some damage, you can see. Got shoved into the outside lane at the start. He went from 9th to 13th, and he's been status quo since then, but he feels good about the truck. We'll keep our eye on the 5 and the progress he can make throughout the afternoon.
Very cosmetic damage there on the 5.
We're coming to the green, but these crew chiefs, their brains are spinning down there, Phil. They've just had a significant long caution period here. That'll change their strategy a little bit, won't it?
Absolutely. This race averages over 80 laps of caution in the last 5 years.
Green flag back in the air. Rick Crawford leads the field to the start-finish line. Johnny Benson behind him, then Ron Hornaday, Kevin Harvick, and Matt Crafton are your top 5.
Boy, Rick really caught a break, beating Johnny Sauter down there to turn number 1. And you can see right now he's got Johnny Sauter pinned in between himself and the second-place truck of Johnny Benson. Remember now, Johnny is 11 laps down now. Johnny Sauter in that 13 truck after extensive repairs on pit road.
And when you're the 1 truck of Johnny Benson, you're not going to wait around long for a guy 11 laps down to get out of your way so you can get after the leader. You know, when this first caution flew, the truck of Johnny Benson was all over our leader, Rick Crawford. So Johnny knows he's fast, and he's not going to mess with that lap truck long.
Single file line. You see Some of the slower lap traffic they're going to work around now. But again, Johnny Benson 11 laps down just in front of Johnny Sauter 11 laps down in front of Johnny Benson, who's running second. So now Johnny Benson obviously would be frustrated having to deal with a lap truck.
Totally frustrated.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse. And so Johnny Benson won't mess around long. I'm telling you, he'll get into the back of that 13 truck and get him out of his way. And Johnny Benson's probably thinking, where the heck did he come from anyway? He comes flying up the inside right at the last minute.
Well, right now, Johnny's on the radio saying, where's this 13? How many laps is he down? And when Trip Bruce tells him he's 11 laps down, Johnny's going to say, why is he not getting out of my way?
Had a good run on him there through 3 and 4, but now Sauter put a little distance between him and the front bumper of Johnny Benson.
Johnny Benson was the man last year here. Looks like he's got a good truck today too, Phil.
Yeah, he won this race in the fall, the 200-lap race, and was running second on the last lap and got run into by Kyle Busch and got turned around in the spring race.
Kevin Harvick back there in the 4th spot. He was a little disappointed in his qualifying effort because it was raining, more or less, when he was on the racetrack.
I talked to him right after that. He was so glad that they were able to qualify, because if not, if they would have rained out the tail end of qualifying and not got it done, Kevin would have started way back, because that truck does not run all the races and did not run all the races last year. So he's awfully glad to get what he got, which was a 6th place starting run.
Adam, how's Johnny Benson doing back there?
You know, we know that Johnny Benson is a patient guy, but he has taken patience to a whole new level in this situation. He has said nothing about Johnny Sauter, who is 11 laps down in front of him, keeping him from racing Rick Crawford for the lead, and perhaps the reason why, maybe more concerned with the guy behind him than the one in front of him.
Well, he's over any hostility he had, because Sauter's been able to pull away from him. So he's not frustrated at all now with Johnny Sauter. He's thinking, my truck needs to be better. If I'm going to go up there and race with Crawford, I got to improve my truck.